What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/relationships. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And let's just jump straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, this story comes from a throwaway account. My 21 male, dad, 55 female, calling me a lying fake person for having depression, and after a month he decided to mock me of my depression. I blew up on him, where he told me to not talk about the past and create problems. A bit of backstory is that I have been going to a psychologist where she told me I, 21 male, have depression. I'm from an Asian family where mental health isn't really talked about. My dad had told me beforehand he had training at work about mental health, so I thought he would understand when I told him I had depression. When I told my dad about it, he blew up on me saying I'm lying and a fake man. I should be ashamed of myself. What type of person am I for lying for having depression? He said I can't have depression because my life is perfectly fine. Then he yelled saying my psychologist is fake and she doesn't know anything about what she's saying. He said so many cruel things and I was just speechless. I thought my dad was more reasonable and understanding. My mum at first said I'm also lying, then later told me to stop going to my psychologist and listen to whatever she says so my depression will go away. I felt I had no support from my parents. My 25 male brother told me to suck it up as that's just our parents. My dad never said sorry and just swept it under the rug. 1 month later, he wanted me to eat on time, but I said I will later. Then he decided to mock me, saying he had depression while laughing. This triggered me so much that I started yelling at him for being so insensitive and not caring about me, and how he yelled about me being fake is bad and he never apologized for it. He told me he was very unhappy I was yelling back and told me to stop bringing up the past and creating problems, as all he did was just a joke with me. My mum supports my dad and told me I should never have yelled at him. I spoke to my brother and he told me I should have ignored my dad's comments and I shouldn't have yelled as he was just joking with me. He told me to let it slide as that's just how my dad is and there's nothing we can do about it. My brother just told me to suck it up. Whenever I talk about the past issues, they always tell me to stop talking about the past and creating problems out of nothing. I just don't know how to deal with this and if my parents will ever change for the better. Ah, man, this is an incredibly hard one because it's like people that you trust and that you love, and I'm sure OP does have love for their family still, and they do this to you. They don't validate your feelings, your depression, your mental health, and they treat you like absolute shit. There's only one outcome I can really see from this, and that's just turning your back on them. And I'd like to think if I was in that position and people were, and it's easy for me to say now because I've gone through quite a lot of past experiences and things like that, but I think if someone did treat me this way, especially my parents or anyone like that, I would turn my back on them. I'd be out of there as soon as I possibly could. And I know it's not easy because I don't know OP's situation in their home life and their financial situation. There's a lot of things at play to be able to just turn your back on people, isn't there? It's not just about walking away, because you can't just walk away and be homeless at the same time. But at the same time, you're in a very, very toxic environment. People playing down your mental health like that is incredibly dangerous, and it pisses me off, to be quite honest. Breathe, Mark, breathe. But anyway, let's check out some of the comments and hopefully there'll be some better suggestions than me just rambling on. And we'll start off with Dirty Demon saying, do not let them invalidate your emotions. You know what you feel. Please don't stop going to your psychologist because of what they are saying. You definitely deserve more support. You should approach them very seriously about how they are making you feel and how it's not how you will accept being treated. If they can't respect or understand that, I would distance/cut off contact from them. I'm so sorry you're going through this. And Runlot says, this hurts me so much. I hate it. It's so hard to open up and be vulnerable with someone you trust, and to be crushed like this by your own father. In my much less extreme experience with parents not getting it, I took them to my counsellor with me. They had a session without me first, and then we had one together. It helps a lot to have a professional pull apart what's happening with your parents, because there's definitely some distortions going on in there. And Wooly Cardigan says, Jesus, the training that he didn't sink in at all, did it? I'm sorry you don't have support at home and your parents are so ignorant about mental health issues. I'm afraid you're going to have to look for support elsewhere. Carry on with your treatment and well done for seeking help with your condition. This is probably something you can bring up with your therapist and work out some ways to deal with your parents together. In the meantime, it's really important that you do your best to not put any value in what your father's saying to you. He clearly doesn't have a clue. And Riz says cut them out of your life and never give them the time of day again. And one more from So Broke saying parents project like hell onto their kids. My whole family has anxiety, but if you try to talk about it in any way other than a pesky little worry, my parents get a dismissive demeanour instantly. I think they feel like they must have failed if their kids aren't happy, and that makes them feel terrible, which they can't handle, so they flip it on you. It must be your fault if you're depressed, but it's not ours. I wouldn't expect their opinions to evolve. Focus on finding the way to cope within yourself, making habits and strategies to help with your depression, therapy, exercise, mindfulness and meditation, or even prescriptions if you can afford it. Might be tough without parental support. Good luck, and hopefully you guys can find a way to move forward without cutting them out as soon as you can move out. Be kind to yourself. And great advice with the therapy, exercise, mindfulness and meditation. It certainly helps me when I have some sort of depressive moments, but obviously everyone is different, so you need to find what's good for you. But now I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and how would you deal with it if you was OP? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Rocket Arm State 23. My 28 male, fiance 27 female, invited her 2 cousins who have 4 kids total to stay for a week at our house without me knowing. I work from home, she doesn't. So I need to know if I'm overreacting to this or not. We live in a pretty small house, 3 bedrooms, 1600 square feet. All I've known for the past week is that her cousin was coming to town this weekend. I was told she was coming just for the weekend and assumed she'd be getting a hotel, which is what any of her family members do when they come to town. Even if she was staying here for the weekend, that wouldn't be a problem. Tonight it gets brought up that they're coming, and she informs me she invited them to stay at our house and that it's 2 of her cousins and they're bringing all of their kids, 4 kids ranging from 1 to 6 years old. Oh, and they're coming on Saturday and leaving the next Saturday. Wait, what? Our 4-year-old stays at home with me 3 days a week and she goes to daycare 2 days. So that makes 5 kids, 2 adults that I barely know, and me who has Zoom calls, deadlines and everything else next week. My fiance works 40 plus hours a week in a medical clinic, so she won't be here at all during the day. I made it clear I wasn't too happy that she didn't talk to me about this first, and she instantly got mad at me and made me out to be a terrible person for not welcoming them with open arms. I'm worried she's going to be petty and straight up tell them that I don't want them to stay here. At this point, who cares if she does? Anyways, I won't make this too long. Am I being shitty by not being okay with this, or are my feelings justified here? So am I right in thinking in this story that OP didn't even find out about the kids until later on, till it was pretty much too late? Absolutely not the arsehole.
Wait a minute!
Wrong subreddit again, Mark, but not the arsehole anyway. I think fiance kept this information from you because she knew you would object, and I would object too, but I'd be really pissed off if this was done to me. You're going to be, as you said, you're going to be in the house with like strangers who you barely know and a whole bunch of kids while you're trying to get your work done at the same time. Absolutely not. I'd be furious as well. Tell fiance to pay for a hotel for cousins and get them out of there. Sorted. But Behavioral Psych says I'd be upset too. I get that it's her family, but complete disregard of your input is pretty shitty. Edit, the fact that she failed to mention the kids until later says to me that she knew there was a chance you'd object, which to me makes what she did even worse. And Miss Tiff says your fiance is being selfish. She had no business not discussing this first with you. An undercover introvert says, I'm worried she's going to be petty and straight up tell them I don't want them to stay here, and then says this right here is my biggest problem with your fiance's behavior and the biggest red flag from my perspective. Your fiance cares so little for your well-being that she is willing to 1. Establish a bad faith relationship between you and her family, 2. Force you to sustain a toxic, nerve-wracking environment with said family, 3. Facilitate clashes, passive-aggressive shit against you, 4. Force you out of your own home if you want some peace of mind or to actually work. Once again, you feel anxious because you, I think from experience, know that she will throw all of you under the bus and rally the crowds against you. You know that she cares so little for your mental well-being that she won't bat an eye before creating the most awkward, possibly toxic and definitely stressful environment for you in your own house. It's not the lack of notice, it's your legitimate fear of her retaliation. And Scrappy Sandwiches says, I would be furious. She needs to tell them that it's not going to work out and help them find a nice Airbnb, or you and your daughter go to one. There's no way on earth you're going to be able to work with that racket. And now I turn this one to you guys. What if you was in the OP situation and you had this dropped on you? How would you feel? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Visual Data. I-35 male want to move to take a life-changing job out west. Wife 37 female doesn't. I'm 35, wife is 37, we have a 5-year-old. Great marriage. I've been working in the tech industry for more than a decade in the Midwest. In my city, there are really only 2 massive companies. I currently work at one and previously worked at the other. I'm basically as high as I can go at my current job. I recently got promoted, and promotions are not going to happen anytime soon due to how our current department is structured. I'm also in a role where I'm not making the most out of my best skill set. I was contracted by a recruiter for a Seattle-based tech giant 3 weeks ago via LinkedIn. I interviewed with them and have made it to the 3rd round of interviews and have a feeling that the offer is coming soon based on the feedback. Recently, my wife got cold feet about the idea of moving to Seattle. We are both currently stagnated in our careers. When we were dating, she moved with me to our current city and left a job but made a remote worker for that company. She has made comments of moving back to where we previously lived, her hometown, and getting her old job back and getting promoted there. But I do not want to go back there. Farming community. I'm really not sure what to do. I feel like I owe her for sacrificing her career for me once, but I will not have a good job if we move back to her hometown. If we move to Seattle, my career makes a massive leap salary-wise, and there is more personal satisfaction and opportunity. Advice. Now, I think this is a kind of a difficult one to give advice on, simply because I don't think we got the wife's feelings in this story. I don't think we've got enough info on wife to really sort of dive deep in how she's feeling about the move and why she wants to go back and all this kind of thing. I know her family and her family was there and stuff, but is there more to it as well? So I'm just going to come at it from my perspective, and it's going to be skewed because obviously I ain't got the ins and outs. But I think in this case, if you have a great family life, you know, you love your wife, you love your child, and it's sort of what do you want, career or family? If you can live in this rural farming community and you'll be happy and you can find a job that pays the bills and you'll be happy with your family life, then absolutely. But if you're career driven, then I don't know. Is there a way that you can move closer to a hometown and still have the, maybe not quite the opportunity you want, but a way of yourself getting promoted and still having that career mindset to carry on? I don't know, I'm just rambling here. Firing out ideas. And again, I kind of find this one difficult because I know what like the US is like with tech giants and stuff like that. All we've pretty much has got is London. You move to London if you want one of these kind of types of careers. But yeah, let's see the comments because I'm sure they're going to be better than what I'm talking about here. And we'll start with Castaway saying Seattle is crazy expensive for housing and there are quality of life issues due to traffic and housing. You have a kid entering school age, so you need to consider schools as well. Make sure you figure out what the salary numbers actually mean after expenses before you take the job. Your wife's concerns are real. There are times you have to make decisions which are best for the family as opposed to the best for your career. Having said that, being technical in a 2-company town means you are at serious risk of having to move anyway if there are layoffs or a shutdown. And then we got a lengthy comment from Insanity saying, already stated, but it's likely that the salary bump that you're going to get from this job offer won't actually contribute to better quality of life in Seattle. Seattle is expensive. You can do a cost of living comparison calculator to see what the difference would be in terms of your current salary versus the new salary you would get near Seattle. You have the option to move outside the city, e.g. Tacoma or Puyallup. I can't say it, but you're looking at a huge commute and therefore a longer workday, and still a super high cost of living in comparison to pretty much anywhere in the Midwest. The housing shortage has also been consistent in and around Seattle for over 5 years and is only getting worse. A relatively decent house, 3-bed, 2-bath will run you at least $500k, if not more. Also, Seattle is going to be fundamentally different culturally than what you're used to. If your wife is used to the small town farm and community life, then big city life is going to be an isolating shift. You might want to look up the Seattle Freeze. It's a real thing that about half a dozen of my friends who moved to Seattle from the southeast all experienced. Similar to NYC and other big cities, unless you live in the same borough and realistically on the same block as your friends, your likelihood of a happy social life is infinitesimal. Additionally, the weather in Seattle is no joke. You will literally not see the sun from September through April. Seasonal affective disorder is a huge problem out there. Summers are absolutely glorious though. Ultimately, while the appeal of a city like Seattle and the PNW in general is definitely there, it sounds like you're mostly feeling the appeal of new rather than a specific place. If you've not been to Seattle already, I would suggest visiting safely for about a week to get the feel for the place. Now is a decent time since you'll get a good idea of the winter weather. Also keep in mind that the West Coast is really different from the rest of the country. While you can get in the car and drive for an hour or two to the next city in most parts of the country, the PNW and West might be 4 to 5 or 6 hours to the next semblance of civilization. If you're into travel, especially by car, gas adds up real quick. You also might be used to fairly decent airfare to most of the country in the Midwest. That's going to change if you're in Seattle and traveling anywhere other than California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Wyoming, Idaho, or Montana. And what a great comment with loads of information, so if any of you out there plan to move to Seattle, hopefully that helps. And then there was a small paragraph update. So it said, update, I told HR that I cannot take the job. Long discussion this afternoon. Wife stated that she doesn't want to move because she doesn't want to be away from her family, her friends, or start a new position in Seattle herself. The idea of working anywhere but her current job is terrifying to her, and she flat out told me she is not quitting her job and plans to retire there. So we are staying where we are or moving back to her hometown. She also has zero interest in ever leaving our state. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Do you think it's gone too far the other way now? Or do you think, wife is right? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. My 20s female boyfriend 30 male didn't get me anything for my birthday, and I think it signals a deeper issue. I'm on mobile, so sorry for the formatting. I also made a throwaway because I don't want anyone I know to see this. So for some background, my boyfriend and I have been together a little over a year and we live together. I work and go to school full time. My dad helps me pay for a lot of stuff. The only thing I don't pay for is rent. However, I do pay for everything I eat, need, do want, because I don't want to be a freeloader. For my boyfriend's birthday, I didn't spend a crazy amount of money, and we set a limit for Christmas presents, so that was fine. Not too long before my birthday, I told my boyfriend I don't want anything except chocolate strawberries because I know he's not great with gifts and thought it would be easy enough. So my birthday comes and I wake up and he's at work. He works weekends. I was kind of excited and hopped to the kitchen hoping to find the chocolate covered strawberries or a card or post-it, but there was nothing. Not too long after I woke up, he texts me happy birthday and a short little paragraph. I'm thinking, okay, he's smart. He's going to bring them to me fresh so that I can eat them after we have dinner. Dinner only happened because I planned it and invited my brother and sister-in-law and dad so that I could at least do something as opposed to being sad all day. When he comes home after work, empty-handed, not even a card. Honestly, it just stung because I never really expected him to spend a crazy amount of money or anything. We go to dinner and everything was fine. I was just grateful to be around family. We get home, we settle in and just go to sleep, but honestly, I'm just so bummed the whole time. The next day, I'm still bummed, and at night, we finally talk about it, and he just kind of makes it all about him. I told him that I never expected anything expensive, I just wanted him to show me that he cares. I would have been happy with a handwritten note or a card, just something. Next thing you know, he's going on about how he feels like shit, and he doesn't know what's wrong with him. I kind of felt like my feelings weren't even acknowledged. Talking to him now is a lot harder because I look at him and it just hurts. I'm not even angry, just more disappointed. I guess I'm just wondering what to do next or how to talk about this and his behaviour. And Bjorn Natali says, it's telling that you didn't disclose your exact ages. A 30-year-old man knows better, but a shitty one knows his 20-year-old girlfriend will put up with his shitty treatment. And Franca Grimes says, there's genuinely no excuse for him doing absolutely nothing for your birthday, especially when you gave him a foolproof suggestion, and then for him to respond with, I feel like shit and I don't know what's wrong with me, is just baffling. It's 100% deflecting because he knows there's no good reason for what he's done. I think he needs to come up with a better and honest explanation, even if that explanation is that he just doesn't care or is selfish, etc. At least you have some honesty instead of just bullshit. And Hey You Gull says, if he's acting like this only a year into your relationship, his failure to act like a caring partner towards you will only get worse. Was he like this before you moved in together? It seems like you're quite young since you're still in school, and he's in his 30s. He could be trying to set your expectations low now so he can get away with it with not making even the slightest bit of effort. And Darby Girl says, oh, he knows, he just didn't care enough. You can do better than this because he is showing you who he is. Believe him. And Adam Skeeter says that, oh, I feel like shit thing seems kinda like when people fuck up and when confronted start talking about how they are scum and awful, hoping you're abandoned, making them take the responsibility in favour of assuring them that they're not that bad. So yeah, you're right on the mark that your feelings went unacknowledged. Maybe try having a conversation where you start with something like, "Hey, last time we talked about my birthday, you didn't really acknowledge or apologize for doing anything." And don't let him divert the subject to talk exclusively about how he feels. What if anything he is going to do to make sure your birthday doesn't fall through the cracks again, for instance? I feel like shit is not an apology and it's not a promise to do better. You've been together for a year, so I don't know if similar problems with communicating have come up, but putting in no effort into your birthday, maybe even the first one you all have spent together, and then making your hurt about him screams red flags. And Monkium says, "Here's the deal, love." It sounds like a British person. The very first thing I noticed and red flagged it in this post is the age difference. Like someone else said, it's very telling that you only disclosed ish ages. Someone in his 30s is usually dating a 20-something year old because not a single woman his own age would take him. There's an element of creepiness and inappropriateness in the age gap, as well as his gaslighting and deflecting problems against you, and his complete and utter lack of regard and respect for you. Someone who holds their partner in high regard, respects them, and has their partner's best interest and happiness at heart would not be deflecting against the other when there is a problem, valid or not. They will go out of their way to make their SO feel loved and special on their birthday or any given day. They will respect their partner and will not attempt to make everything about themselves. They will go to the ends of the earth for you on your special day. They will heed your very practical and easy suggestions. You have a massive SO problem. He has zero respect for you, neither does he have any empathy and genuine love for you. OP, know your worth. This is not a good thing. This is not a healthy relationship. This is a man already gaslighting you, trying to make you feel guilty for bringing up something that truly hurt you. You deserve more than this. There are plenty of men out there who would absolutely treat you the way you deserve to be treated, without prompting, no questions asked, and with no reservations. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and what would you do if you was OP, or what would you suggest to OP? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and thank you for the consistent memberships from you guys. You keep going with all this kind of stuff, and it just massively helps the channel. And I can't believe we are approaching 300 members. Oh, you guys, you just blow my mind. And if you want to support the channel further, you absolutely can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube or clicking the link in the description for Patreon. But please, never any pressure to do so. That's the last thing. I don't want you to feel pressured to be supporting the channel, because you being here is more than enough. Believe that. I'm waving my finger around like a crazy person right now. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.